So Wasabi Productions is an Australian startup who focus on interactive storybooks for touchscreen technology. And what I wanted to share with you today was our latest app, Gorilla Band, that launched in August. So I'm going to get into that now. Hopefully the audio will work.
I saw a bee. Wasabi.
So Gorilla Band, you can see from the title page, is still structured sort of like a book you might find in a non-digital format from the start, although we engage children 2 to 6 in a sort of sensory storytelling experience as you go through. And this app in particular is filled with originally scored music. We built it in Unity 3D, which is quite an immersive experience, which I'll show you. So we'll get some audio. You can read to me or read myself.
In a clearing in the jungle stood a piano and a stool, owned by Melody McCann of the Jungle Music School. She was waiting on a student. He was playing on a vine. Could you give him a poke to remind him of the time?
So involving the kids in the story from the word go, drawing them into the jungle, and basically
This music's too slow.
So each character, multiple sort of audio, music tracks, so each reading experience can be fresh, can be different.
Good of you to swing by.
What we've also realised is...
Miss Melody's
I'll
other
just
student
mute the
played the
audio.
violin by ear, but she hated having lessons. It was her mum's idea. She preferred...
We had a lot of feedback from educators that, the interaction can be quite disruptive and that they resist that in digital storytelling. So we created a setting that you can turn delay interactions on, which means that on any page, the characters won't react to the child's touch until the read has finished. So ensuring that they do sort of have that story comprehension and can then, deepen their engagement. So just to kind of give you a sense going through, we introduce a whole range of different instruments, and the characters come together and form a band by the end of the story. And they perform a song, which I'll show you as well. We introduce pagination, again, a lot of insights from the last Dust or Magic. We want to give kids, adults, the opportunity to jump wherever they want in the book and not force them to have a certain experience. So I hope you'll all come and chat to me. I'll be glad to give you a promo code so you can check it out. But essentially the band comes together, everyone learns that you can do more when you do it together as long as you give it a go, and they perform a song.
We gorillas, we like to sing. We gorillas, we like to swing. We gorillas go ooh ooh ooh. We go to jungle music school. We gorillas, we like to sing.
Hopefully you'll want to hear the rest of that later. It does get stuck in your head. Something I also wanted to just bring up here. I'm a bit concerned that we've got some great content that's a bit too buried. I've had some reviews that people say, it's perhaps not educational enough. And if you see on our extras menu, just by the way, anything that's external has a parent guide. We're part of the Mums with Apps Know What's Inside program, so not directing kids anywhere they shouldn't go. But there's this studio game which allows kids, I guess, to learn to identify instruments by sound or name. So
Double bass.
it says the name of the instrument and you have to kind of find it. To get it right, there's a yay, ting. And if you don't, it's quite fun too.
Violin.
Oopsie-daisy.
Violin.
Oopsie-daisy.
Violin.
You
Oopsie-daisy.
get the idea. And so you get that reinforcement, you hear the instrument as well. Okay, I've got 11 seconds. You can do it by sounds as well. So that's one of the extras. There's also another song, of the sleepy song, which is sort of more geared towards bedtime. It's a mellow tune. So that's where we've got to. The reason we went with Unity was it's actually a cross-platform build, so we could use the same code base published to the Android store straight away, and Kindle as well, which is on the way. Fantastic launch. We've got some great coverage, a lot of really great reviews, but we're finding with the books category things can trail off over time, so very open to anyone's feedback or thoughts on the product. Thank you.
That was awesome. First of all, another round of applause for being the first guinea pig up there. And as appreciation for your courage. So what we're going to do is we're going to take you up and we're going to bring you over here for feedback. And then if you guys can get set up with Sago, and then I think Tigley is next. So if you could come on up.
Lasers? Lasers?
Yes, please.
We'll do lasers, but why don't we get some feedback first? Does anybody have any comments or thoughts they'd like to share, or do you have any questions you'd like to ask the people here? Here we go.
How do you signal the fact that to kids that the interactivity is going to be on after the narrative is read? Do you signal that, or you just figure they'll figure it out after?
Extras and seen what it was about, or just assumed, oh, okay, that's the book, I finished it now, move on.
My guess is that the grown-ups will, but the kids might not.
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, especially preschool, they're not reading yet, so those are written in text. But if they explore and they're just randomly tapping, they might find it.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think there's more than, in that case, we could be doing with the title page? It's a bit of a leading question, but...
I have a question for you.
Okay.
So what's your goal with this app? You said you want the parents and teachers to, or kids to do it together. Do you want the kids to explore on their own? Because that answers these questions in a way, in my opinion.
Okay. Look, I think there's a different answer at a different part of the age spectrum. So at the younger age spectrum, you know, sort of the 2 to 4 year olds, we would expect it's a much more hands-on experience, just like you'd share a bedtime story in a printed form. You know, we hope that that storytelling can now take place on the screen, but have all those other sensory benefits that come with it, of the music and that sort of thing. I think at the old end of the spectrum, we have had some feedback that the language is actually, you know, sort of even 7 to 8 year old, the language of the story. We think they can have a more independent experience and then hopefully, you know, find some of those other things themselves, because as you say, then they can read at that point. So yeah, I think, you know, we're not trying to be all things to all people, but I do think that there is a slight difference in the experience depending on the age.
And then we need to move on, so lasers. Do you like lasers?
Yes, I love
So if everybody's standing there, lasers, we're going to point them up on a scale there. Would you like to frame what that 1 to 10 is? You can keep it simply dust or magic, or you can frame it as something else.
Overall impression, dust or magic.
1 being, 10 being awesome, right?
Okay, good news.
Remember these statisticians who actually have a degree in some sort of quantitative measurement here?
Huh?
Who want to admit it?
My.
Well, I'd like the opportunity to discuss any specific feedback you guys
All right,
have.
Scott Trailer, you want to fudge that? What do you think?
That's quite a range.
Well, thank you very much.
That's my professional opinion.